Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Batman Masque. Now, Masque is a graphic novel written and illustrated by Mike Grell, and of course published by DC Comics, and this was published in 1997. Now, this is an Elseworlds story. Now, Elseworlds is something that DC used to do a lot. I'm not sure if they do it so much now, but they used to do this a lot, where they take one of their characters and put that character in a different setting. Like, basically, Elseworlds stories are stories that are set outside of the mainstream DC continuity, and they're essentially what-if stories, like, what if Batman was a vampire, or what if Superman was raised in the Soviet Union instead of America. Like, those are essentially Elseworlds stories. They're what-if stories. And essentially, this story is what if Batman was around during the turn of the century. The story itself is actually set in Gotham City in 1890. So, essentially, this is a period drama that just happens to feature Batman as the main character. And this comic is also loosely based on the Gaston Leroux novel, The Phantom of the Opera. Essentially, this book is Batman meets the Phantom of the Opera. And Harvey Dent is actually the main villain of this comic. Basically, in this continuity, Harvey Dent was actually a dancer who ended up getting horribly burned, and basically Harvey Dent in this story takes on the role of Eric from the novel The Phantom of the Opera. Essentially, he's the Phantom of this story. Now, the plot of Batman Masque is, once again, it's set in Gotham City during the turn of the century, and the whole idea is, what if Batman and other characters from the Batman mythos were alive during that time? And basically, in the beginning of the story, Batman is chasing these escaped criminals, and he chases one of them into this playhouse during a ballet based on Edgar Allan Poe's Masque of the Red Death, and Harvey Dent, who in this continuity is a dancer, is playing the role of the devil in that play. And basically, Batman, he chases this criminal up onto the catwalk right above the stage, and a chandelier accidentally falls onto the stage, and the candles cause a huge fire, and Harvey Dent, unfortunately, gets caught up in this fire and gets half his face burnt. And in the story, it turns out that Harvey Dent is in love with this ballet dancer named Laura Avian, who of course is based on the character of Christine from The Phantom of the Opera, and basically he wants her to have the lead role in this production of Masque of the Red Death, so he starts sabotaging future productions of this ballet just so Laura can end up getting the main role. But this sabotaging also includes killing certain people who don't want her to have the main role, so in the story, Batman has to stop Harvey Dent. And in the story, it turns out that Bruce Wayne is also in love with Laura, and throughout the story, Laura and Bruce Wayne end up developing a romantic relationship. Now, Batman Masque I thought was an excellent comic, and I highly recommend this book if you haven't read it already. Now, I recommend it if you're a Batman fan, but I also recommend this if you're a fan of The Phantom of the Opera, either the novel or the various different film adaptations of the novel. But if you're a fan of that story, if you're a fan of the whole story of The Phantom of the Opera, then I highly recommend this book. And the book is very much a gothic horror story, and I definitely saw kind of a Hammer influence on this graphic novel. Even the way, like, a lot of the drawings were in this book, it just kind of felt like a Hammer film. Like, it felt like I was reading a Hammer film. There's also a scene where Harvey Dent appears to Laura, and this is him right here, and I swear he kind of looks like Peter Cushing in this one part of the comic. So I definitely saw a real Hammer influence on this comic. The book also seems to be taking a lot of inspiration from the 1925 version of The Phantom of the Opera with Lon Chaney Sr., as well as the 1943 version of The Phantom of the Opera, and it even seems to be taking some inspiration from Hammer's 1962 adaptation of Phantom of the Opera. And not just is this a really good gothic horror story, but it's also a really beautiful love story as well. And it's actually really heartbreaking, especially the ending of the book. So once again, I recommend Mike Grell's Batman Masque if you're a Batman fan and if you're a fan of the whole story of The Phantom of the Opera. So yeah, once again, that was my review on Batman Masque, and bye.